Today we're going to talk about the different ways that you can start recording your podcast. Hello, my name is Tanya and welcome to my writing realm where we talk about a lot of shit. Now first, a little disclaimer. I am not a highly experienced podcaster. I started my podcast this year and it has only been running for a matter of months. However, I have done a lot of research and I would like to share with you what research I have found so that when you are ready to start your podcast for your writing or your author career, you'll have a better idea of what options are available for you. Now, of course, some of this information I wish I had thought of more or knew to think about. I wish I knew to think about this before I started. Now, before 2020, I never actually listened to a podcast. I didn't really know what it was, what the purpose of it was. I heard people talking about it, but I didn't put any kind of focus on it. However, a friend of mine, Trinda, had told me about this podcast by Joanna Penn, which is the creative pen. And since then, I started to get more interested into the whole world of podcasting. Now, the idea, of course, behind a podcast is that it is a voice recording. It is audio only, and it's streamed on multiple voice-only platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast. There's a lot of stuff. But now I've learned that people actually commonly record their podcast by video. So here we go. You have a few options, and this is what I wish I had thought about initially. These days, it is very common for people to record their podcast by video and stream it first on a YouTube channel, and then take their audio and dump it onto take it off of the video and stream it onto a podcast platform so that it is audio only. How do you know if that's what you want to do? Well, first, if you're going to have other people on your show, if you're going to be doing interviews, and if that face-to-face contact is important to you, then that is a good option. Now, if you do decide to do this, one thing that has been highly recommended by many YouTubers is if you are going to be doing a video podcast first, make a channel that is specific for that podcast. Not everybody that watches like writing advice, author advice, publishing advice, or, doing the writing sprints. Not everybody that enjoys that aspect of YouTube will also enjoy the interview aspect of it. Some do. I'm not saying, it's not possible. But after studies have been done by these bigger YouTubers and bigger podcasters, they have found that in some cases it did hinder their channel by having a podcast video in addition to having their regular YouTube content all in one channel. So you might want to consider, if you do want to go with the video podcast, that you keep that completely separate from your regular author-related or writing-related content on your current channel. Now, I think this, again, would work really well when you're doing interviews and you have different people coming onto your show, or if you have a co-host, so multiple people doing it together. I don't think that for everybody that it works as well when you're by yourself. I feel like when you're by yourself recording, it's not as smooth and easy and fun and communicative. You kind of have to have a structured plan because you're not having a conversation with yourself. So it's not as easy to do a video podcast when you're alone. Now, I'm sure it's been done before, but for myself, I feel like being on your own, that's a little bit challenging to do. Now, another option is if you have like a USB microphone or a pro level microphone that you can plug into your computer. Often people will record their podcasts directly onto their computer and then upload it into the software. A lot of people enjoy doing this, and some of the big pros have a lot of, technical crap around them to make sure that their sound is the best it possibly can be. Now, the third option, which is my preference personally, is I prefer to record directly on my phone. There's a number of reasons for this. One, my health condition. This allows me to record in bed. So I'm literally sitting up in bed, relaxing with my feet up and recording my podcast. Now, of course, I have to do a lot of planning in advance. I have to have everything typed up, a bullet point form notes, all of the data that I need. I have to have it pre-typed out and printed so that I can have it visible in front of me. Now, of course, I'm not holding on to this paper while I'm recording because it will pick up on the microphone. But to have it, I normally set it on my desk lap, or my lap desk, and I have it propped up beside me so that I don't have to keep picking it up or move it around at all. That's what I find is best, is recording in my bed. Now, these microphones can actually be pretty cheap. The one that I have, I'm actually wearing it right now. It was from Amazon, and I think it was like $30 or something. The only thing is you need a certain adapter. You got to be careful with what microphone you buy and make sure that you're going to be able to have the right connection so that it will plug into your specific type of phone. And of course, if you have any problems finding this, you can actually contact like your phone provider, like go in store, or go to the Apple store if you have an iPhone. Go to wherever you bought the phone from, and they should be able to help you with finding the right connective piece. Now, the microphone that I bought does come with some pieces, but I ended up having to have a separate piece because this piece that I needed normally comes with iPhones. I don't have an iPhone, I have a Samsung. So I actually took this from a store, I think it was Walmart actually, and I bought this cord. I think it was like between $10 and $15, super cheap. But you can get a really decent podcast setup to start your podcast without having to spend a ton of money. Now, I probably spent a total of maybe $40 or $50 on equipment. That was it. Then I signed up for my podcast host. So we're going to get more into podcast hosts in the next video. Today, I just wanted to go over what your options are so that you can start really making a plan, because how you record your podcast may affect your decision on which podcast host you choose to go with. There's paid plans, there's free plans, and some hosts have apps on their phone so that you can record directly into your phone app and put it right up onto the podcast platform without having to take extra steps. That was important to me, and that's why I chose the podcast host that I'm with. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap. Your options that I'm aware of, there might be more, but these are the options I'm aware of. Video podcast recording and putting it onto your YouTube channel first or not, and then splitting your audio and making an audio only file so that you can edit it and put it onto your podcast host platform. Number 2 is recording your audio only directly onto your computer, editing it on your computer, and then uploading it to the podcast host. Number 3 is recording directly on your phone. Now, again, you could do like a blend of these, right? You don't have to stick with just one, except I think that if you're going to do a video podcast, I suggest you stick with the video podcast because it will affect your YouTube channel. You don't want to start releasing videos on your YouTube channel and then suddenly drop off and not release any videos. I'm pretty sure your viewers or your audience is going to get a little bit upset. But when it comes to recording on your computer and then jumping over to your phone, there are podcast hosts that this works really well with, and you can alternate between the two. Now that's great, especially if you like to travel. You could be flying across country, other than the pandemic days, and you can still record and air your podcast when you're in a hotel. So I really like the ability to record directly on my phone. So thanks for joining me today, and watch for more podcast videos coming to a YouTube channel near you, my YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, night, or whatever, and we'll talk to you soon. Happy writing.